some thoughts over investment markets for the quarter ended 30th of June 2022. There's been quite a significant downturn in investment markets generally, both in Australia and overseas, over the last 6 months, impacted by continuing impacts of COVID-19, lockdowns due to COVID in Shanghai, particularly in China, which has had a negative impact on their economy, continued issues in respect of COVID in the United States and in Europe, where the situation is much more dire than we're experiencing it here in Australia. We've also had impacts in Australia of flood crisis in New South Wales, and rising interest rates are also having some impacts on what we expect to happen over the next little while. As I record this, the Reserve Bank in Australia raised interest rates on the 2nd of August in 2022 to 1.85% officially, and we're now seeing housing interest rates rising to levels which we haven't seen for quite some time. This is going to place some pressure on those people who've bought houses lately at probably inflated prices, and we're expecting that there may be some impacts on the overall level of housing stock in Australia, and it's certainly starting to manifest itself in terms of the number of people who are turning up to auctions and those sorts of things. The good news is that there's been quite a recovery in markets since the 30th of June. We've had quite an uptick in what's been going on, and we're now seeing that markets are sort of introducing a little bit more stability over the last 3 or 4 weeks or so. We hope that this will continue, but we can't really be sure in any fashion. What we can be sure of is that there will be continued volatility until some of those issues which I've just raised have worked themselves out. So steady the course. We always take a long-term view of things. It's important to recognise that in the year ended 31st of December, we had a very, very strong run on markets, and markets now have recovered to a level around about where they might have been about 2 years ago. So it almost feels like it's all been for naught over the last little while. The media does report that billions have been wiped off superannuation funds of Australians over the last 6 months or so, and that's absolutely true. But billions were added to the superannuation funds of Australians in the 12 months prior to that, and that seems to have been forgotten. It needs to be thought of when you're listening to media reports and other things, that they take a very short-term view of the world, so they're really only interested in what's been going on in the last 2 or 3 weeks or so. And as investors and as financial advisors, we take a much longer view of that, and we recommend that a well-structured portfolio, if it's held for a long period of time, will produce the results that we're all looking for. So I hope that gives you some insights into how we're thinking about markets at present. Look forward to talking to you again soon, and hope that the next three or 6 months or so will give us an indication as to what the longer term trends might be.